Today, we are very proud and very happy to welcome Kelly Griffin and Janet Warren of the TEA. Kelly is the Director of Distribution and Accessibility in TEA's Instructional Materials and Education Technology Division. That's a mouthful. Janet is the Distribution Coordinator in the division. Did I get all that right?
You did.
Awesome. Now, before we get started with the presentation, I want to real quickly just kind of ask, we've been hearing a lot about from our instructional materials coordinators. What are y'all hearing in terms of what's the most common question or concern you're getting at TEA from IM coordinators?
Well, mostly, when are we going to have our full funding, and is this our full amount for the biennium, our instructional materials allotment, or is this for this year? And a few of those things have changed, and I hope that we'll cover some of that in our presentation.
Excellent. So let's see if we can answer some of those questions and more in the presentation. Kelly, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. I'm going to get started this morning. Again, I'm Kelly Griffin, and I'm the Director of Distribution and Accessibility, and we are the group that help you order your instructional materials and receive them. So we're happy to run through this presentation. Some things we're going to run through kind of quickly because we don't have a lot of time, and we want to be sure and get to your questions at the end. So I'm going to get started. The allotment disbursements, shipping, disbursement. We're going to give you some disbursement reminders because we've run across some questions having to do with disbursements, and we're going to talk about reports available in EMAT. First, the 1516 and 1617 biennial IMA for each district and charter is now in your EMAT account. So the amount of funding that is in your EMAT account is for the biennium. It's for this coming school year and the following school year. At this time, districts and charters are able to spend your prior year balance along with 80% of your new IMA. And as with all state funding, the actual funds in the IMA are not available or are available after September 1 when revenue becomes available to the Texas Education Agency. House Bill 1474, there were a few changes. One of them being that the allotment is now for the biennium. Every district and charter received their IMA for the entire biennium, and that's something that districts and charters really felt like they needed and requested, and the legislature did pass that. The allotment is calculated from the State Instructional Materials Fund for each student enrolled in the district on a date during the preceding year of the biennium. So what we calculated your IMA for this year was on your PEIMS enrollment data from last October, and that's how it's calculated yearly. So on the first year of each biennium now, according to House Bill 1474, each district and open enrollment charter will receive an instructional material allotment in their EMAT account. So from this point going forward until it's changed, we will be funding on the biennium year. There were a couple of letters there's to the administrator address about some correspondence that we've sent out about your amounts and about how right now how you can order instructional materials, and just a few of the rules, and talking mainly about the changes in House Bill 1474. So this will, like Clay said, this is going to be out there, and here are the links to those. The appropriations have been made and new allotments have been entered into EMAT, and the remaining allotment, whatever you had from last year, and remember that amount that you have remaining at the end of each year does always roll forward into the next year. So Now it will be whatever you have at the end of the biennium will roll forward into the next biennium. So your allotment balance, if a lot of you have been spending that at this point, hopefully, because you are trying to get ready for school. So your allotment amount included the prior year carryover and the new biennial amount. The available allotment will include the prior year carryover plus 80%. That is what we call the available allotment. So 80% of your funds can be spent before September 1. And that's part of the delayed payment option. This was authorized in Texas Education Code. And a school district or open enrollment charter, you may requisition and receive state adopted instructional materials before the funds for those materials are actually available. Like I said before, we don't actually have funds to pay for these materials until after September, to pay the publishers and to pay districts until after September 1st. So this allows you to go ahead and order now, and order so you will have your materials prior to the start of school. So that's basically you're able to use up to 80% of your new biennium funding prior to September 1, and after September 1 you'll be able to use the remaining. When a school district or charter requisitions for materials under this section, TEA will spend a district or charter school's existing funding, which is their prior year carryover, before applying the delayed payment option. And the delayed payment option basically is publishers have agreed to a delayed payment so that districts and charters can get their materials prior to the start of school. And that's pretty much what that boils down to. I'm going to turn it over to Janet for a few minutes and let her do some talking.
All right, we're going to talk about EMAT access and ordering in the EMAT system. If you do not already have EMAT access, you'll have to first get a TEAS account. The link available is at the top of the TEA website. You'll need to click that link to apply for TEAS. You'll scroll down and find where it says EMAT EVI applications and click on to request access. If you already have access, you'll go straight to your TEAS login and it would look similar to this. The link is at the top of the page. It's on the TEA website as a link at the top of the main page, and it's also on the instructional materials page. If you're requesting a new account, you'll need to choose ordering access or view only, depending on what you need for your district. You'll need, after you select your role and fill out the information, you will need to, the access will go to your superintendent first, and once that has been approved by the superintendent, then it will come to us to approve. Once you are in the EMAT system, there are several prereqs you have to have completed prior to being able to order. First, you need your IMA and TEAC certification form. At this time, most districts already have that submitted, but if you still do not, you'll click on the link and click on the subject areas and grade levels that your district teaches or charter school teaches, and then you'll print that and take it to your board to be signed and then sent in to TEA. You'll need to update your summership dates. This link actually has been removed at this point because we're so close to the beginning of the school year, but when next year comes around and that's there, you'll need to select the dates for the summer shipments, and you'll also have to confirm your contacts and addresses. Once you're ready to start your ordering through the requisition process, you'll click on the link to create a new requisition. There'll be a new adoptions and a continuing adoptions link available. The new adoptions is for anything for that particular school year that's new. So right now with Proclamation 2015, you'll have social studies, high school math, and all of fine arts that are available for that to requisition through new adoptions. The new adoptions and continuing adoptions requisitions are for state adopted materials only. We will talk about disbursements a little bit later in the presentation. You'll click on the subject area or grade level that you want to order for, and you'll locate the appropriate multiple list code. We do have a link on the TEA website and in the report section on EMAT that has the multiple list codes available that you can print and have handy when you're trying to order. It's also going to be have a description on that same line a little further down if you don't have that list in front of you. You'll click on the magnifying glass to the right of the ISBN field to choose your title that you want to order for. If you notice, there is a lot of different options available. We tried to be very specific in the titles to give as much information as possible so you choose the correct title. Once you click on the title you are wanting, it'll pre-populate with the ISBN and the title and the price. You'll then put in the student requisition quantity that you need for that and then save your work. If you do not know what all is comes with that package, you can click on a little icon that looks like a sheet of paper with an arrow on it, and that will give you the item details. This is just a portion of the item details that it's showing now, but it will give you valuable information in the comment section, also in the TEKS percentage, if that's something that you were interested in seeing. Once an order has been saved and is in progress, and you close it out and have to reopen it to add to it, you will see that the magnifying glass is no longer there. And if you want to order something different than what's pre-populated into that field, you'll need to click on the plus sign to get a new row with that same MLC to choose a different title. You'll click on the item details like I told you before, if you need to find out information about it. For the teacher requisition quantity, if it's showing the teacher requisition quantity box available and the number of students served, then that's going to be something that's in a class set or only available to be ordered by the number of teachers available. Once you have selected all the materials that you need, you'll want to go back to your requisition summary page and make sure you've already saved your work, and then you'll want to submit it to TEA. There is the view print requisition summary that you'll want to open up and print for your records, and that way you can ensure that everything you wanted is available or is already ordered on this requisition. So the disbursements is the next thing we're going to talk about. This is different than the requisitions. The requisitions is a state adopted list. You're choosing the items and it's coming to TEA. Once we approve it, it goes straight to the publishers. The publishers then fulfill that order. We pay the publishers directly. If you want something that is not available on a requisition, then you'll need to order through a disbursement.
Okay. Districts and open enrollment charter schools, you can request an allotment disbursement in EMAT to order. These are three things: instructional materials that are not available in EMAT at the price point and package that the publishers have bid, that you can order through a requisition. Okay, I'm going to have to start over because that's kind of confusing. You can order instructional materials that are state adopted through an allotment disbursement if you've received some sort of publisher discount, or if it's a different package than what the publishers bid that are on the requisition side. So we used to call these non-adopted instructional materials, but now districts are ordering some of the adopted materials as a disbursement because of a pricing difference or a package difference. You can also order technological equipment, and you can pay for technology services, which includes salaries out of your allotment disbursements. And these are just kind of some examples. Like for the instructional materials, these are just not available on the adopted list in the format that they are for requisition. The technology services can be contracted services for technology, training, or providing access to technological equipment for instructions, salaries for providing technical support for the use of technological equipment, some different things like that. And if you have a question about what services are an approved expenditure through your instructional materials allotment, we'll give you some information of how to contact us at the end of the presentation. Technology, you can, many different types. These are just some examples: computers, ebook readers, mobile devices, and interactive whiteboards. So Janet's going to go over allotment disbursements with you.
Okay, so for the disbursements, you're going to click on your allotment disbursement link on the top right hand side, the third link down. Once you have clicked on that, you'll click on the next link and it'll give you the three options, either instructional materials, technological equipment, or technology services. The one I'm showing you now is an instructional materials disbursement. You'll have to click on the magnifying glass to select the correct category. Once the category has been selected, there'll be many fields that are open, and you need to fill in the fields. If it has a drop down or a magnifying glass, you have to choose from the options provided. If not, you can type directly into the field. Once you have done that, you'll save your work and certify and submit it. There is the disbursement summary that you can print once you have finished putting all the information into your disbursement. And this is good to give to other people at your district, the finance and curriculum and technology departments, so they're informed on what has been ordered or what has been requested. Because when you're ordering through a disbursement, you're just requesting the funds, and you will have to then order directly from the publisher or vendor and pay them directly. So shipping, we get a lot of questions about shipping, and through disbursements you are able to request funds for shipping. There are two different freight charges. You can have in-state freight charges and out-of-state freight charges. For in-state freight charges, TEA will pay those in-state freight charges. The district must submit these freight charges as a disbursement using the in-state freight category. They are paid for out of a separate freight fund, so they will not show up on your allotment report because these do not come out of your IMA. And if there are multiple in-state freight charges that have been requested, when those payments come through, they will be lumped together as one payment, and it will show that same payment information on each disbursement that it is tied to. You can click on the View Payment Information link once that payment has been made to see that information. That's a ghost link and is only available after the payments have been made. Out-of-state freight charges can also be entered through the disbursement request, but these are deducted from your IMA account. And either way, the funds are being sent to the district and the district is paying the freight charges. Here are some disbursement reminders of things that are frequently asked about, or reasons sometimes we have to reopen disbursements to have corrections made. It's important to provide a specific per student or per package quantity and unit price when available. If you'll look at the example I gave, this example shows that there's a quantity of 1 and then a request for $300,000. That doesn't give us a lot of information, and it's not really showing us what it is the district is wanting to order. So it's better to put the number of products you're trying to get in the quantity and the unit price per student or per package. That gives us a little bit more information, and then we don't have to reopen it and ask for more information. Many districts are having issues right now trying to figure out if it's state adopted or not state adopted. That's a new field we entered to help us with reports. Right now it is not a drop down. We're intending to change that to be a drop down of yes or no. But right now you have to type in either yes or no on that. So items that are not considered state adopted are going to be things that are not on the current adoption bulletin. AP materials for math, science, and social studies are not currently adopted because they did not go through the adoption process in Proclamation 2014 or in Proclamation 2015. Certain fine arts and social studies products, some districts are getting confused on these because, for example, Pearson or McGraw-Hill may have social studies products that are adopted, but they have not put in any fine arts products. So some districts are saying yes, that they're state adopted because Pearson is a publisher for Proclamation 2015, but they are not a fine arts publisher for Proclamation 2015. The same thing for fine arts and social studies. Sociology, there's only one publisher that had sociology textbooks. So you'd want to look on the adoption bulletin to see if that's actually state adopted or if it needs to be no in that field. And then certain online resources such as Reading A to Z or the TEKS resource system, those are allowable purchases, but they did not go through the adoption process, so you would put no in the state adopted field for that. Use the bilingual materials category to separate bilingual materials from supplemental materials. This frequently we reopen several disbursements to have this corrected. There is a plus sign in the next to the disbursement category. That's how you would get an additional disbursement category field to add another category. So if you have supplemental materials and bilingual materials, you'll need to click that plus line to get a new field or a new category. Also, if you want to add your freight charges, you would want to click that plus sign to get another category for either in-state or out-of-state freight. If you are unsure of what a category an item belongs in, you can either call the imcat division or you can email the instructional materials mailbox at that address so that we can let you know ahead of time. Otherwise, if you choose the wrong category, we'll send you an email or give you a call and let you know what category it needs to be in and reopen it for you. If you're trying to save your work and then submit and get an error message, many times you'll have blank lines or blank spaces that need to be filled in. It'll give you an error message, so check those things first to see if that's one of the reasons why you're getting that error message. Be sure to save your work before you certify and submit it, and it's important to realize that there are a lot of disbursement requests coming in. We're trying to get to them as quickly as possible, but we have up to 15 days to process the request unless there is a need for additional information or clarification and we have to reopen that request for some reason.
Okay, I'm going to go over some of the reports that you can find in your instructional materials on your instructional materials allotment page. So from the district start page, if you double click the allotment bar graph on the left center of the page, you'll come to this allotment inquiry report, and this is a very helpful report when you're trying to figure out exactly what you still have, your total allotment, and the requisitions that are marked complete and things that are pending. This just helps you figure out what allotment remaining you have. And some people don't realize that they can click on that bar and get this report, so it's extremely helpful. Any disbursement funds that come into your district or charter school will come in through the district's 410 revenue account. So, and any unused funds remaining at the end of the year in the 410 account will roll forward to the next fiscal year. So I'm going to go over this again because from what I understand, there's a lot of questions about the difference in requisitions and disbursements. Requisitions are on the state adopted side. You order those as they are put into imcat. Those orders go to publishers. We pay the publishers, and the publishers send the publishers send the materials to you, and we pay the publishers. On the disbursement, if you're doing an allotment disbursement, the payment relationship is between you, the district or charter, and the vendor. So if you have requested an allotment disbursement and you are waiting for materials for some reason that you have not contacted the vendor or publisher about, then you need to do so, because we are actually, when you request allotment disbursement, you are requesting that funds be sent to your district so that you can pay that vendor or publisher. So I've heard that that's been a little bit of a problem this year, that folks that are kind of new to being in EMAT and being the person that is ordering, that they're struggling with, why they're not getting some materials, and it needs to be, that's the relationship between when you do a disbursement. When we approve a disbursement, the funding comes through our system and goes to your district into this 410 account. So you need to be aware that the funding is coming there. Your business office needs to be aware that the funding's coming there, so they'll know when they receive a bill from the vendor or publisher that the funding is in the 410 account. And like the last sentence here says, unused funds remaining at the end of the year in the 410 account will roll forward to the next fiscal year. Well, if you order something from, if you have a quote from a vendor for $400, let's say, and you order that product for $400, and let's say that the vendor decided to go ahead and give you a discount for that, and they really only sent the bill to your district for $350, let's say. So that means that there's $50 remaining in that 410 account, and there really should not be funding left in there, but things like this happen sometimes, and there is. So those funds need to remain in your 410 account and may be spent on instructional materials as well. So if the difference of what comes out of your IMA into your 410 account and what you need to pay the vendor or publisher, if there's a difference in that, you probably need to leave that funding in there until you decide what you want to spend it on, and then just let us know what that funding is going toward, because we have already approved that funding to go for something specific. So we just need to work together on those kinds of things. That's pretty much the presentation. I think we've talked pretty fast and gone through it pretty quickly. We tried to do that so we would give you plenty of time to ask some questions. We do have a lot of great people at TEA that respond to your questions every day. This is the phone number at TEA, 512-463-9601. And we do have my staff is there, and they're happy to answer any questions that you have for them. And they're very kind and gentle, and they'll lead you through the process if you're new to the system and you're struggling to get through it, because there's a little bit of a learning curve there, and we know that sometimes you need extra assistance. If you just have a question for us, also after this, you can email the instructional materials mailbox, and we are instructional.materials@tea.texas.gov. And we're responding to those inquiries all day, every day as well. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for that presentation. Before we dive into some of these questions, I want to real quickly remind you all out there, we do have a few questions already, but I want to remind you how to get your questions into us. You can call in, fax in, text in, or email in your questions. And here's how. That should be on your screen right now. You can text me at 512-567-0857. Again, normal text messaging rates may apply there, and please don't call that number because you'll mess everything up because I won't be able to look at the text questions as I'm sitting here. Email us at textbook@texas.net, and Texas is spelled out. You can call us at 512-251-8101, or fax us even at 512-251-8152. So let's just dive right in to the questions, and I think I should probably start with a question from our president. Kelly Scarta wants to know if we're still going to be able to apply for fast growth.
Yes. We will have a fast growth application out. We have written that letter, and it's going through the proper channels and approvals at TEA. I would be looking for that letter to come out probably within the next week or two. So yes, you will be able to apply for that. And if you've applied for that in the past, then it's going to be very similar.
Awesome. Well, hello, Kelly out there in Goose Creek, and thanks for that question. Okay, this is sort of an EMAT-specific question, I think, about the process. How do you delete a line item that comes in a set?
On a disbursement or a requisition?
I think that was when we were talking about requisitions.
Okay, if it comes in a set, you can't break the set up. It's what comes in the set has to be ordered as is. If you have only specific pieces that you need from a set, then you probably want to contact the publisher and see if they can create a package for you that only has the materials you need. And if you're in a disbursement and you need to delete something, then you'll just use the minus sign at the end of the row. If you're in a requisition and you have something there and that's not what you want and you have to get a new row with that same MLC, the previous row is still going to show the information there, but as long as you don't have any numbers in the student requisition quantity or teacher requisition quantity, then it's not going to charge your IMA any funding.
Okay. Here's one that says, for damaged books that you have already completed the proper form, what is the best way to check on the status of the items? I will use Pearson as an example.
Once the TEX013 is turned in to us, Pearson, or in the form is also sent to the publishers. You'll want to check with the publishers. You can contact us and we can see if there has been any response from the publisher to us, either in the form of a credit memo, but the publisher should contact the district to let the district know how to return those materials. And if you need contact information, it should be on the bottom of the TEX013.
Excellent. Okay, here's kind of the million-dollar question, not literally, but so we won't receive any IMA next year, I suppose, meaning summer 2016, and no, correct?
That's a correct answer.
That is the result of House Bill 1474, which IMCAT worked to get passed, which we heard was needed because of the size of Proc 2015, and I want to reiterate what Kelly said. There is a what do you call it? Letter to the administrator address. You guys have put out a statement that's on the TEA website. We've also put that on the IMCAT website and linked to that. IMCAT on its website also has a statement sort of from our president and our board talking about the effects of HB 1474 and the effect on the IMA. But yes, we should reiterate, no money's coming in next summer. So you have your full biennial allotment now, right? I mean, they can only use 80%
Until after September 1st.
until after September 1st.
Right.
But your full biennial allotment is coming this school year. You will not receive any next fall, or next summer, or next fall, or until fall or summer 2017.
Right. And let me add, there is not a proclamation. There's not a proclamation 2016. So there will not be a proclamation for newly called for instructional materials for 2016, but in order to, fulfill additional students and things like that, or consumables and things like that you're going to have next year, you do need to, be conscious of that there will not be an additional funding. There's not going to be will not be any new products to purchase at that time, specifically state adopted ones, but there will be a proclamation 2017. So.
Okay. Here's one. Can Kelly talk, or Janet, I guess, talk about the difference between the delayed payment option using a typical requisition and a disbursement? Is it the district's responsibility to make arrangements when using a disbursement, or can we use TEA's agreement?
That's a good question. The delayed payment option is only for the materials that are ordered through a requisition, because those are the materials that publishers have agreed, those are the payments that they've agreed for us to delay and to let districts and charters order their materials in the summer and receive before TEA actually has the funding to make those payments. So that's the delayed payment option in law. If you, a lot of vendors and if publishers, whoever that you have done for disbursements with, a lot of them will work with you, but please be mindful that law does not apply to a disbursement. That is because the relationship of payment is between the vendor and the district or charter. That's something that you need to work out with the vendor or publisher.
Okay, thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Kelly, for that question. The finance office makes it hard to get funds from 410 before September. What is recommended? Is there a video class for finance department, maybe some training or something they could show to the finance department to help out there?
What was the beginning of that?
The finance office, I guess, of this district makes it hard to get funds from the 410 before September.
Well, you do have to work with, we are a local control state, so every district and charter has to work with their business office. I'm not sure exactly how to respond to that. That's something that you need to work out with your business office, and for whatever reason, some business offices have specific rules that they're that they're bound to, because those are their district rules. But if you'd like to call me or email the instructional materials mailbox, or have your business or finance office call me. I may not be answering the question. I may not understand it correctly. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Yeah, and TEA is available to help if you give them a call or an email. They're great people to work with. In the role of district staff view only, I guess this is an EMAT question. What can a staff member view?
You can view any of the requisitions or disbursements, any of the reports. You just cannot create a new requisition or create a new disbursement or make any changes to them. It's just viewing any information that's in EMAT.
Okay. So that they can view everything, they just can't alter it.
Yes.
But they can see everything that you would normally see with full permission, right?
Yes. And one thing I just thought about that many districts ask is how to look at previous school year disbursements and requisitions. And from your start page on the top left-hand corner, you can change the school year to look at a previous year's requisitions or disbursements.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Real quickly, before we get to a few more questions, I want to put out sort of another final sort of call for questions. You can text us at 512-567-0857. You can send us an email at textbook@texas.net. Texas is spelled out. Call us at 512-251-8101, or fax us at 512-251-8152. The queue is filling up here pretty quick, so I want to make sure and give you all an opportunity to get your questions in. Okay, next question. This is about teaks, I guess. How do we know how much of the teaks are covered, I guess, in the instructional materials?
In EMAT, for a state-adopted material, it will show it on the item details page. And if you are ordering for a disbursement and getting a special package or pricing and you're ordering that material through a disbursement, you still can look through the requisition side and get that information, or do an item search and get that information. It's also on the current adoption bulletin. But for a item that is not state adopted, you'll either have to check with the publisher and see if they have that information, or your district can look at the material to determine the TEACS coverage.
Excellent.
But it is a required field.
Okay. Here's a question about the whole 20%, 80%, how they do the allotment. When will the 20% be available for districts? September 1st, it will be available to districts.
Correct.
Can you explain kind of how that works? Because you can use 80%, but that's sort of a prepayment, right? Your full allotment technically isn't available till after September 1st. I mess this up myself sometimes. So,
Okay.
So.
You can, it says in EMAT in your IMA what your allotment is and what your available allotment is. And the available allotment is the 80%. Okay, it came from the legislature. It's written into law that you can only use up to 80% prior to September 1, and then after September 1, when funding becomes available, and I think it was just had to do with part of the funding availability and such. Whenever we changed our process from Senate Bill 6. So the 80% is what you can use prior to September 1. And I mean, gosh, what are we? Just
10 days away.
Yeah, not too far away. So the additional 20% will be available after September 1.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Can you use IMA to buy an Ethernet cable?
Can you use, if that's something that's important to, or essential, I guess is a better word, if that's something that's essential to your inside your building, so that your students can access instructional materials digitally, then yes.
Excellent. Okay. Let me build off of that question. Can you use your IMA to go to the IMCAT conference?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
I knew the answer to that one.
You can, because that is considered professional development. That's a conference that instructional materials coordinators go to. That is excellent. There are lots of sessions there that help instructional materials coordinators, learn about EMAT, understand a little bit better about the system and about the law and what's allowable and what's not. So TEA has a presence there every year, and the Instructional Coordinators Association have been there for several years now, and they know, they keep up with us and the new laws and new rules and all of that. So they're there, and they do some presentations as well.
Thank you very much for saying those nice things, and you're welcome, Cliff. Last question I think we're going to take. We want to try to get people out of here in around 50 minutes. So one publisher said his books weren't going to be printed until July. So he's providing me the first 3 chapters until the books arrive in October. Will I be charged twice?
That is a very unusual question. No. Will they be charged twice for the?
Yeah, I think
for the books. Is it something that was? I don't know. I can't respond to that. It's hard. I don't know if that was on the requisition side or the disbursement side. What?
The only reason usually that materials come in volumes earlier is if it's for Braille materials,
Right.
because the vendors don't always have enough time to get the entire material brailled prior to the start of school, so they braille the first 3 volumes and get that to the districts. But I've never heard of it on the requisition side.
Okay.
So that's something they probably need to follow up with us about.
Right, that sounds
That's
like
something that's new, and we haven't heard that one yet. So
Okay.
just have them follow up with
Yeah,
us.
that sounds like a pretty situation-specific question. You may want to follow up with TEA. Okay, I said we were going to do just one more, but we've a couple more were handed to me, and we want to try to get to everything. Why weren't all of the adopted materials put into EMAT for ordering? An example, Patty DeWitt Fine Arts materials. They were adopted materials, the same contracted pricing, but they weren't on EMAT. We were told to enter a disbursement.
Right. There were publishers there are certain requirements that publishers must meet, and part of those requirements are making things available for the visually impaired students. And sometimes some of the smaller publishers, in this specific case, we're not able to contract to turn in NIMAS files for those materials to be brailled. They did go through the process before we knew before they understood about the NIMAS files, so they were not entered. They're not able to be in EMAT because they're not meeting all of the requirements. But they did go through the adoption process, so maybe ordered through a disbursement.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like a acceptable solution, or the best possible solution.
Right.
Okay, I think this is going to be our last one. In some instances, we would like to just order one copy of a teacher edition, or maybe even one student edition to use in the classroom for a resource. Is it possible to order just one of those editions, or do they need to be purchased in sets?
It depends on how the publisher bid the material. Some materials were bid just as class sets, and if it was bid just as a class set, then you can only order it through EMAT in that class set format. And if that's the case, then you'll want to contact the publisher and do a disbursement to order one of those. And with teacher's editions, you can order the teacher's editions many times through EMAT, but it's based on a ratio of student editions purchased, so you may not get that teacher edition even if you order it through EMAT. So if that's the case, then you'll want to contact the publisher and get a price quote and purchase through a disbursement to get that material.
Excellent. I think that's just going to be about it for us. Thank you, Kelly and Janet, for coming out today and giving this presentation. Thank you all out there for joining us this afternoon. A reminder, IMCAT's annual conference, IM Texas 2015, which, as we learned today, you are able to use your IMA funds to pay for. That conference will have the answer to many of your questions, and a lot of great presentations and a good time, and it's really a great informative educational event every year. Make plans to attend that conference December 6th through the 9th. It's at the Hyatt Lost Pines in Bastrop. TEA will be there, I'll be there, IMCAT will be there. We hope you'll be able to join us. It's just outside Austin here, so we hope you'll make plans to join us then. For more information and to register for that conference, go ahead and go to our website, www.imcat.org. And always keep checking the IMCAT newsletters, both print and electronic, and our website, imcat.org, for information about future webcasts and other training opportunities. From the IMCAT headquarters here in Pflugerville, I'm Clay Avery. Have a good afternoon.